Hello, my name is Mr. Karl, and I'm very excited to read a story to you today. This is called Little Sap, the Magical Story of a Forest Family. It's written by Jan Hughes, and it's illustrated by Ruth Hengenveld. And I picked this story today because it recently became the first day of spring. And I know it may not look like spring quite yet, it might still look like winter, but very soon we are going to see that the leaves on the trees grow again, and the world is going to look very green. And lots of plants and flowers and trees are going to be blossoming and growing. And I think we're going to see a lot of that in this book today. So let's get started. Little Sap lives with her family deep in the heart of a very old forest. She grows near Mother Tree, the tallest and wisest tree in the grove. Little Sap can't wait to be a mother tree. So I'm going to teach you a new word right now, and that word is sapling. Or in this story, it will be sap for short. And a sapling is a very small tree, like we see here on the right side of the page. So when you walk around your neighborhood, you might see some very large trees. They might have very large trunks, and they might be many, many feet taller than you. But a sapling is a little tiny baby tree. And all trees start out as saplings, and often the very big ones, they're really, really old. In spring, when bluebells carpet the woodlands, Little Sap shows off her new budding leaves, glistening like jewels in the sunlight. And just take a look at this forest scene right here. Isn't this really beautiful? These blue plants are called bluebells. In summer, the tall trees around her fill the sky with green. Little Sap reaches as high as she can, but she is still swallowed up by the shade. Will she ever reach the light? After the rain, Little Sap's friends, the penny buns, poke their heads through the damp forest floor to say hello. So these mushroom-like plants here, we can see a lot of them on the page. They're called penny buns. I think because the top of their heads, they look like pennies, or that same copper color. And this is a really cool page because we can see some of the roots of the plants. And take a look at that shot underground. They bring sweet, soothing treats from Mother Tree to Little Sap. Little Sap wants to touch the sky, but tree time is very slow. So let's take a look at the time on these pages. We have a little tree right here. It doesn't look very big, doesn't have very thick branches yet, but this tree is 40 years old. And this one's a little bigger in the middle, but it's 60 years old. So that's getting pretty old for a human being, but for a tree, that's not very old. And this tree that's only a little bit bigger than the other two, 80 years old. That would be pretty old for a person, right? Not that old for a tree. Here's a tree stump that is 400 years old. We know people don't get to be 400 years old. That's way too many years. But a tree, if you cut it down, you might see 400 rings, meaning that it is 400 years old. Mother Tree insists that Little Sap doesn't reach too far, too fast, and guides her up gently. And this is Mother Tree talking to Little Sap. Mother Tree says, "Grow slow, little one. Take your time. Stand up straight. Turn this way. You'll get there one day. The slower you grow, the stronger you'll be." I think that's pretty good advice, even for us. We're not trees, but I think that's a good way to grow up. High summer is a busy time in the forest. Birds make their way to their favorite branches. Squirrels run up and down and all around. Insects chirp in a rousing chorus. Look how busy the forest is now during the middle of summer. It's very green, and we got all of these ants and squirrels out. Pesky bugs come to feast on the trees. There's some pesky bugs down here eating those leaves. When little Sap feels the bugs munching on her beautiful leaves, Mother Tree warns the family and sends a fragrant cloud to scare off the pests. In the fall, the forests quiet down and become cloaked in amber. And look at the leaves on these trees now. We can definitely tell it's a fall scene because we see those oranges and yellows and reds. Little Sap clings to her leaves as long as she can. Here's little Sap, still very tiny, right? It's got many years of growth ahead of it. In winter, as the days get shorter and snow flurries dance around her, Little Sap finally settles down to sleep. Every spring, Little Sap gets closer to the light, one day taking her place in the sun-filled canopy. A mother tree with a little sap of her own. So as we can see in this book, spring is when Little Sap starts growing again, because Little Sap needs lots of sunlight and warmer weather. And every season, Little Sap gets a little bit taller, a little bit wider, and a little bit bigger. But we got to keep in mind this process is very slow. It's even slower than it takes you to grow. I bet you have grown at least a couple inches this past year, whereas Little Sap, you might not even notice that she grows at all. Okay, and that was our story today. So what I want you to do is pay close attention the next time you're walking around your neighborhood or in a park and look at all the trees and think about how long it took them to get as tall as they are. And if you see any little saplings growing in the park or in your neighborhood, give that little sap a piece of encouragement. Say, you'll get there one day because it's going to take them time. Okay. I want to thank you for joining me today. I really enjoyed reading the story for you. I hope you stay well. I hope you are safe and happy, and I will definitely see you again soon. Goodbye.